Hey, Hound Dogs, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins.
And welcome to On the Air with Power Squared. This week, it's our 3rd anniversary.
That's right.
And if you're keeping track of going, well, 155 is not 52 times 3, because we didn't do one week. We haven't figured out which week that was, but we did miss one.
Yeah.
And actually, there's been, so 155 is the right number.
Yeah.
So just, as a math whiz. So this started out basically as a way for us to push Power Squared onto the unsuspecting nation.
Right.
And in the very beginning, we talked a lot about the book itself, tried to set up the characters that we now realize we have to go back and redo for another reason.
Right.
But so we did a lot of talking about ourselves, and we decided that, boy, we should maybe talk about other things as well.
Yeah. Because there was only so much we could talk about that was just
fascinating. Yes. And we used to do another show called A Week in Power Squared. So
yeah.
For a while we were doing both, and we just cut it down to one, which I think was a good idea.
If anyone has seen any of the Week in Power Squared or a lot of the earlier OAPSs, you'll probably notice that I was not confident at all with speaking in front of a camera. So I've gotten better about that, I think.
Come with time.
Yeah. I remember even PewDiePie had to get more confident over time.
You have to.
Yeah.
It's not a skill that you normally have.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit this time about guests. We've had 27, not counting the family. I'll say that the people that are working on Power Squared, they've been on the show a lot.
Yeah.
With Rachel and Julia and Trevor, and we're very happy to always have them on the show. But we're talking about people outside that group.
Yeah.
Other creators, other people in the industry, which we've had a few of.
Yeah.
So we've had 27 different guests, and so we thought we'd kind of go over some of them, in not necessarily great detail, but talk about some of them.
Yeah.
I think are the more memorable ones.
Yeah.
But if you're keeping track, Trevor has been on the show 34 times.
Yeah.
Rachel's been on the show 33, and Julia only 30. I don't know what happened. And I do want to give a shout out that they did a show without us.
Yeah.
149, which is, I guess, 6 weeks ago when we were in San Diego. They did a team meeting and had a pretty good time.
Yeah.
And if you haven't caught it, you really should watch that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So they did art challenges around Power Squared.
Yeah.
And I am shocked that more people haven't watched it. It's really good. So the first guest we scheduled, Seth Latterman, was a no-show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. He's since made up for it. He was on the show a couple weeks later, and he's been very supportive of Power Squared in ways that we're not going to get into. But all is forgiven. But it was really weird that first, like, where is he? The first guest isn't here. So that was kind of a weird little. And I forgot what we did instead.
Yeah, I forgot too.
We just sort of ad-libbed something, but that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But
so I guess we learned to have a contingency.
Yes. Yeah, we're always worried because you tell people we like to kind of meet up 5 to 10 minutes ahead of the show just to do sound checks, make sure they're actually there, and it's like, it's getting close. Where are they?
Yeah.
Are you going to show? But we've had pretty good success. Everybody who said they were going to show up did.
Yeah.
So we can kind of go through some of the people we've had on.
Yeah.
We've had 3 people on multiple times.
Yes.
Don Wynn has been on twice, kind of pretty close together. We had him on once to talk about him and once to talk about getting ready for Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Which I thought was good since he's very plugged into that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having him on again at some point.
No, I like Don. We've had Tina Sessa Ward on twice.
Yes.
Both times to talk about delegates.
Yeah.
One time with Ben Lee, one time without him. When they were doing their Kickstarter.
Yeah.
With Heart to America, we had them on, or had her on to talk about it. And we've had one guy on 4 times.
Yes.
Mr. Angry Fred himself, Lucas Sheffel, out of Australia.
Yeah.
And he's always fun to have on. I always like having him on the show. And so we're trying to think of special T-shirt, 5-timer. Kind of
The SNL has the 5-timers club.
Yeah, so he'll probably be the lone member of that for quite a while. But we got to think of something special to do for him before we have him on the show again.
Yeah.
So besides those people, let's talk about who else we've had on the show.
Yeah.
We had Juan Esquera.
Yeah.
Who has his own. He's on Twitch probably right now doing his own show.
Yeah.
Iron Fortitude. You can watch him play games, as far as I think is what he does.
Yeah.
And
like last time we talked to him, he was playing Call of Duty.
Right. And he probably still is. No.
Yeah.
But so he actually did some work for us. He actually voiced Pedro.
That's right.
For our little character video.
Yeah.
So we thank him for that, of course. I met him at a gym.
Yeah.
A long time ago. We've had Catherine Calamia.
Yes.
Who is, I want to say, Miss Kickstarter. She always seems to have one going. We actually used her to kind of consult with us on our last one.
Yeah.
Which was successful, by the way. But she's already plugged in. She writes about comic books. Obviously writes a comic book or 2 or 3, and is, I think, on the Kickstarter committee about comics or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's very, very plugged in. We had her on the show once. I forgot. I think it was talking about her book.
Yeah. Sounds right.
Mostly we have people on the show who have books.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of works out that way. Josue Kerr.
Yeah.
Josue F. Kerr. I met him through one of those build your list seminar classes websites or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think we got teamed together, and so we sort of follow each other. And he's put one book out, and I assume we'll have another one coming out soon.
Yeah.
But he was really interesting background, really smart guy. It was a lot of fun interviewing him. Right?
Yeah.
Now, we've talked about this before. We've done a very, very small con, the San Fernando Valley Comic Book Convention. Right?
Yeah, which was San Fernando Valley Comic Book Convention, which is not the ideal place to push something new.
Now, there are a lot of people looking for collectibles and old comic books, not necessarily looking for new comic books to love. But we did meet Sue Price there.
Yes.
Who was an actress promoting a couple of her movies on video, I believe.
Yeah.
And she was nice enough to come over and take pity on us and buy a copy of Power Squared, and she's been supportive. She backed our Kickstarters. She's been very supportive. And we had her on the show on a tape basis.
Yeah.
She was kind of nervous about it. And that turns out is our biggest show as far as people watching it on YouTube. 138 people have watched it, which is a lot for us.
Yeah.
And she's by far the biggest attraction we've had. But she was very nice to be on the show. Probably should have her back to boost ratings, if nothing else. But she was very nice. Then we had the G-Men.
Yes.
Or G-Man, G-Man Comics. They were on. Rick Offenberger, Jim Burrows, and Eric Bennett.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like we were interfering with their show. We did. It was a Google Meet, and by the time we got on, they were already meeting about their book. I felt like we were sort of interfering.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun. That was the first time we've had multiple people on that again were part of Power Square.
Yeah. They could call themselves the G-Men.
Yeah, they could. And he's First Comics News, editor-in-chief of that, and they do a lot of Kickstarters as well, and they have that book. They have several books out.
Yeah.
He told me one time, yeah, I'm doing my own comic book, and it's like he has 50 of them out. We're still got 2 or 3. But anyway, he's very nice. He's been very supportive of Power Square too.
Yeah.
They always print our press releases and review the comic books, so that's been very helpful for us, I think.
Yeah.
I always want to have a shout out for that. Sean Hall, Dirk Brody is his main book. I know he does some other stuff.
Yeah.
He was one of the Artith Merrick people we've had on.
Yeah.
Which Artith Merrick, if you're new to the show, which is very possible, is our British print on demand.
Yeah.
And Sean, Dirk Brody's available on that. Sean also publishes on there too. And so we had him on to talk about kind of as a brotherhood of Artith Merrick people.
Yeah.
Now, we were on a Zoom call. Was he on that? I want to say he was. One time with Artith Merrick, they had some creators on.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think he was on that. So,
yeah.
And so we had him on the show. And he was the first of the Kickstarters that Artith Merrick launched, and I think the most successful. And it's really I would pick them too.
Yeah.
Or picked him too. Them. He's one of those. He writes and draws it, colors it, letters it himself. So his expenses are 0.
Yeah.
But except for time, which I know is a big deal. Then we've had Ben Lee and Tina Cecil Ward on to talk about their book,
Delegates,
right? And which is a 30 issue series. I'm not really sure exactly where they are with it now.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they're way farther ahead than we are.
They don't keep track of everyone.
No, but with I've liked having them on the show, and they've been again supportive of us. So they want to be supportive.
Yes.
Back and forth. David Wayland. I'm not sure exactly how I know at the time I knew how we met him, but I think his name that popped up again on might have been the build a list thing or something else.
Maybe.
But he Correct Hand.
Oh yeah. Correct-handed.
Yeah, and he's got a bunch of different books out. He's an art. I think he's a teacher. I want to say he's an art teacher. I'm not sure if that's right or not.
I don't remember.
But I know he has a lot of books going. Very successful at what he does. A little tear on our eyes. We were lucky enough to get Gamal Hennessy to be on the show.
Yeah.
He did a book which was sort of a useful guide for people trying to do their own books.
Yeah.
Which I don't have the name of off the top of my head. My apologies. But he was on the show talking about that, and we actually got some marketing advice from him on a separate Zoom call once.
Yeah.
But he does a podcast, which is I think he just did it today earlier, or at least it was published earlier today.
Right. When
he talks about what's going on in the comic book industry
today at the time of this stream,
which is yes, this is Friday, September 2nd. We never actually do dates, but he does his own podcast, and probably more people see it. Again, tears in my eyes. We had John Dexter on the show, Alpha Dog.
Yeah.
He was the first person to ask to be on the show.
Yeah. So they're like, why not?
Yeah. If you want to be on it, sure. And I remember on his Facebook page, he liked Power Square. I was like, really? He goes, well, I was just trying to get your attention, or whatever it was. So
I appreciated his honesty.
Yes. He's done a Alpha Dogs 2 Kickstarter, and I think he's starting another book.
Yeah.
So he's suddenly a major player in the world of comic books now. But he's been on the show. Again, the first person ever asked to be on it. That was nice. Nice to be asked. We were lucky enough to have John Barber on the show.
Yes.
He used to be the editor-in-chief at IDW, writer on Transformers and tons of other books.
Yeah.
And we had him on during the pandemic when he was home during the day, and I almost want to say abused him, because we had him on for like an hour and a half asking him, because we didn't know if we'd ever have him on again. It's one of those people who's really hard to get a hold of.
Yeah.
And when he agreed to do the show, I was like, sure, great. And so we just kept asking him questions for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, because we had the opportunity.
Yeah, and I'm sure he was like, dinner's ready, I have to go. Just 5 more questions. And he was very nice. And again, we met him recently up again at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And that was one of the highlights of the convention for me, was having that little chance to sit down and talk to him. Just one-on-one, kind of like creator to creator, as opposed to,
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like an equal. Nina Gaylord was our colorist for a lot of issues. I off the top of my head, I'm terrible at that. She did from 6 to 12. She did like 7 issues for us.
Yeah.
She came on after the first 2, and then she stayed until Julia.
Yeah.
And
I remember Julia's stuff only recently started to get published.
Yes.
But she was aware of that.
Yes, and she knew that coming in. But we had Nina was on the show, had been on the channel previously.
Yeah.
But we brought her back when we were actually going to do the Kickstarter. Or actually, we had her on just we had to touch base with her. We hadn't seen her in a while.
Yeah.
And she was nice enough to come back on and let us catch up with her. Carla Hook. Sorry, Carla.
Author of Fight Right.
Right. She's somebody that we met at a novel writing seminar in Pasadena. And you went to
Yeah.
her panel.
Yeah, it was a demonstration of fighting techniques.
Right. And so we approached her at the time saying, because we had been to Comic-Con and they do instructional stuff. They do things that teach you. We went to one where it's how to write.
Yeah.
Or how not to write. And we thought, she should at least apply to be on that. And I think she's going to do it for this next one because I've kind of sent her the information that I have because I'm going to try to do a panel as well. We'll see how that goes.
It should be, if she does manage to get accepted, then it should be one of those instructional panels that's actually instructional.
Right. Yeah. She knows a lot of. I wouldn't want to pick a fight with her.
No.
She knows a lot of martial arts, and she's a really nice person. And she was our 100th show.
Yes.
We wanted to make it special, so we had her on to talk about Fight Right. And she was saying nice things about us, though I'm sure she hasn't read the book. But that was nice. Steve Laffler.
Yeah.
Who has, I'm not trying to be insulting, but he's been around a long time. He was doing stuff in the 70s, I think.
Yeah.
We had him on the show. He had a Kickstarter going, and the show was kind of weird because every time we asked him a question, his internet would he'd freeze up or something. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But he was doing a Kickstarter at the time, which we supported. We always support if you're on the show, we support your Kickstarters. That'd be kind of mean not to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's going to support you? No. But we had him on the show talking about his work and his book and his life, and that was kind of fun. But again, it kept freezing. So if you watch that show, it froze a lot.
It had technical difficulties.
Yes. There was a new platform that was coming out for digital comics, which we haven't signed up for, but we were going to have the founders of that, which were Danger and Mayhem.
Yeah.
And I think I was following Mayhem on LinkedIn and said, hey, come on the show and talk about your platform. And she bailed.
Yeah.
It was like she was on for 2 seconds and was gone. And then we talked to him. It was John Danger Dean.
Jeremy
Danger Dean. Sorry, Jeremy Danger Dean. I can't read it. It's a little tiny print. Jeremy Danger Dean. And he was, it was nice. And Danger really is his name or something. Or he changed it to be that or something.
They actually changed their names.
Yes. And I think they were trying to do the platform and podcasts and a whole bunch of stuff. So hopefully they've had good luck.
Best of luck to them.
Yeah, and I think they're going to get married. Am I making that up?
I don't remember.
All right. I'm not trying to force anything on you.
Reality can be whatever I want.
We had in the beginning a couple of colorists, Rory Richards, who I have said before kind of saved the book.
Yeah.
The first 2 issues. She recolored that for us. And then she left and was replaced by Paige Redbird,
Yeah.
who we hadn't talked to in forever, and actually had never talked to, right?
Yeah.
Because everything was done through email, and so we had her on the show.
Yeah.
At the meter, she's into doing leather work, right?
Yeah. She was doing pretty well at that.
Yes, and we tried to send her some copies of the books because I don't know if she ever actually got them, especially because we remastered them or reduxed them or whatever you call it. And I sent her some, and I never really heard back, so I stopped sending it to her. But if you're watching, I'll be happy to send you more because she kind of, again, was part of it, got us going. When we were doing our Kickstarter for with Artithmeric, we had Steve B on, who is one of the co-founders of Artithmeric. He's an artist. He is a financial guy.
Yeah.
He had I want to say it was a daily or weekly strip going for a while, like the Financial Times or something. He, one of those people that you kind of go, wow, I've done nothing in my life by comparison. But he does his own books. So he's it was interesting to have him on the show. I was glad we did.
Yeah.
So let's move on. Doug Neff, he wrote a book about going from sort of somebody that likes comic books or likes nerdy things and actually doing it.
Yeah.
And he did it, I guess, about 8 years ago, and I credit that book with I do my own blog, which you edit. And I've done it for 8 years, and basically because I don't have a coach, I think it was the thing, the missing piece.
Yeah.
So I thought if I do a blog about writing, that it'll make me think about it every week.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're tired of reading it, but I think that his book was the catalyst for me doing that. And he's somebody that we met several times at the Comic Creator Connection.
Yeah.
At Comic-Con, which is sort of like
speed dating.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, we never got a date out of it, but it was a good experience for us. It kind of made us learn what to look for, how to talk quickly with somebody, how to do our little pitch.
Yeah.
So that worked out pretty well for
like
that.
How to pitch something instead of just explaining everything that happened.
Right. And it was. I think that was a really good experience in some ways. We actually came close to finding somebody.
Yeah.
Close, but never actually.
That person still helped us with refining the story.
Oh, that was
someone else.
That was the person I was thinking of. I guess we met. Did we meet him through? There was a guy from DreamWorks that we.
Yeah, that was through Conqueror Connection.
Okay. I totally forgot how we met him. Yeah, he kind of made us think about the book more, or more in depth. Which again, we're having to think even more in depth
for something else.
For another reason, yes. But that was he was. And what was weird is he did his own script. That kind of freaked me out a little bit, but he was. This is our story.
He was trying to help.
Oh yes, it was. I'm not criticizing him at all.
Yeah.
But I guess I forgot that we came that close with somebody.
Yeah.
And he was interested and then suddenly dropped out because I guess work got busy.
Yeah, he suddenly had a commitment.
Right. So we were, again, stuck in that nomad of looking for somebody.
If we still have his info, maybe we should see how he's doing.
Yeah, we could. I know I have this stuff from somewhere. I've tried to keep everything.
Yeah.
All digitally.
Anyway. So
Okay.
Doug Neff was cool.
Yeah. Okay. Then we had Kurt Zauer.
Yeah.
Who
somehow heard about her.
Yeah. Somebody had recommended he'd be on our show, and we're like, okay, great. And he is the one that talked to us from the floor of an anime
Midwest.
Yeah. Con, and that was. It was after hours, of course, but it was still pretty interesting. And all these people have very interesting lives.
Yeah.
I think he was in the military for a while.
Yeah.
And came back, went to a comic book. So I'm always fascinated by those kind of people.
Yeah.
So he was good to have on. And he, again, had a Kickstarter going. Again, we supported it. And I think he was successful.
Yeah.
So, and I give him credit for doing a con. We've been very kind of scared to do one during the pandemic, but he was out there doing it.
Yeah.
I give him credit. The last creator that we had on the show, also doing a Kickstarter, was Brendan Starocki. My fault.
We said it correctly in the episode.
We did several times in the episode. And he and a friend of his were doing Avalon.
Yeah.
Which we will learn more about, I'm sure. They were doing a Kickstarter, which again we funded, but I haven't seen anything yet. A lot of times with Kickstarters, it takes forever to get something.
Yeah.
There's one that I backed last year, and I'm still waiting for the book to come through. It just can take a long time, and now with paper shortages and shipping being so high, it does take a long time.
That doesn't help things.
No, but it's nice. I always like getting if I want to read it, I want a physical copy.
Yeah. I'm guessing paper shortages are why IDW keeps delaying some trade releases.
Yeah.
And yet Image has like a surplus. I think they have a surplus because I bought it like a long time ago.
So then we've had two people on twice.
Yeah.
Don Lynn, who has Pablo the Gorilla.
Yeah.
And has done some other artwork, and we've run into him several times. It was nice when we went to LA Comic Con.
Yeah.
The first time during the pandemic, and he was a guest, and he acted like we're old friends.
Yeah.
That was really nice. I always like it when people are nice to you.
Yeah.
Make you feel special, which is so rare these days. But anyway, it was nice of him. So he's been on the show twice. We'll probably have him on again.
Yeah.
We've kind of talked to him a little about maybe doing a cover for us.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not don't etch that in stone yet, but we probably would. Yeah, I could see him. And what I like about if he does a cover for us is he goes to conventions. He could have it with him and show it to people.
Yeah.
Unlike us. Anyway, and then we've had Tina on twice, talking about delegates, and of course, as we talked about Lucas Sheffel 4 times.
Yeah.
Talking about Angry Fred and Australia and what's going. He and his partner and their son are I believe still doing this, traveling Australia through the caravan.
Yeah.
And stopping someplace for a day or a week or whatever. That's a very nomadic lifestyle. I give him a lot of credit for doing that.
Yeah.
I personally can't imagine doing it, but he seems to be happy about it.
Yeah.
And he manages to hold down a full-time job and do a comic book.
Yeah.
And have an adventure, and it's pretty cool. So I've always like having him on the show.
Yeah.
Now, it hasn't just been Power Squared and creators.
No.
We've done some other shows. You want to talk about those?
Yeah. So we did one time I tried to do a live review of House of Leaves.
Right.
By Mark Z. Danielewski. I have very specific opinions about it, and I was actually compelled enough to do a one-off book review on Trophy Unlocked. I guess the best way to summarize my opinion of it is, I guess it's a bit of advice, really. If anyone tricks you into reading House of Leaves, only read the parts that directly relate to the Navidson record, because that's the actually interesting part of the book. Everything else is fluff.
Okay.
And you can skip Johnny Truant's entire font and not miss a single thing.
It sounds like a very complex book, just the layout of it.
Yeah, and the weird layout is the reason I wanted to read it, but I think it got too full of itself.
Okay.
Like too wrapped up in its own strange formatting, because it drags a lot when it has nothing to do with the Navidson record.
So that was the first. We've actually since started doing we've done one, but we're going to have a second one in September.
Yeah.
This month. The Comic Book Club.
Yes.
Where we read a manga.
Yeah.
Spy Family.
Yes.
And we're going to do Black Sad later this month. So if you've read that, tune in. Maybe you'll have an opinion. You can tell us what you think
Yes.
on the show live. Okay. We've actually did a team building exercise.
Yes. We played Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes.
Right. And you were, I think, the guinea pig a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I think we exploded you a few times.
Yeah. We should try that again sometime.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
But stream someone else's screen.
Yeah, it shouldn't be me though. Then we've done one about twins because our main characters are twins.
Yeah.
We've also done one about summer reading.
Yeah.
Because different books. Because actually, everything you read kind of influences you. Everything you play a video game, kind of like, and I know with this story you're working on, you've been influenced by outside sources and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's part of the process. So we talked a little bit about what we've read. We did one about is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
Which we decided it was. Spoiler. And I remember posting that. I post when we do something. And put it up on YouTube. I'll go on these various sites and say, hey, you can do video. And somebody was very critical of, what's this about? It's not comic book related, blah, blah, blah. It's like, fool yourself. To me, it's sort of, again, it's part of life.
Yeah.
We've talked about summer movies.
Yeah.
It's just, we're not just comic book people.
Yeah.
We have other interests. We do, you started a blog 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Trophy Unlocked. Which is basically a video game and movie review site.
Yeah.
We've talked about that. We talked about that on its anniversary,
Yeah.
I believe. So we have more interests outside of this. So when you're on the air with Power Square, it's the holistic, not just the comic book.
Speaking of Trophy Unlocked, I still need to think of something. I'm not going to try to formulate this on camera right now, but I still need to think of something to do for this year's anniversary. Last time it was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, partly because that was a major game that I had always wanted to actually play all the way through, and the so-called definitive release of it made it the original more relevant.
Okay. I wanted to say that we've done 155 of these. But it's only since number 33 that it's actually been on YouTube.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to go way back to the beginning, you can do that on Podbean and on the various platforms that we're on.
Yeah.
I did post a thing earlier. Actually, the anniversary was the 30th of August.
Yeah.
This is the closest we could do. And so I posted a link to that original podcast.
Yeah.
So you could hear how it all started. And Trevor has been doing the thumbnails, which, if you've noticed, that they improved after I think it was 90.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because he's been doing them. So shout out to him for that as well. So let's talk about, did you have a favorite guest?
A favorite guest? That's I can say some of my favorites.
Okay, sure. So yeah, it have to be definitive. Okay?
Right.
That sounds like the rest of you are scum.
Right.
So who's your favorite? Favorites.
Well, favorites include Carla Hoke, John Barber.
Mm-hmm.
So I also got to ask him a lot of. Tara and I got to ask him a lot of Transformers related questions.
Was Trevor part of that show too?
I think so.
Oh, that's another appearance he's been on.
He might have been. Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
And I would probably also throw in Dunwin.
Okay. That's pretty much the same I would have for me too. I was happy that Gamal Hennessy wanted to be on the show.
Yeah.
I kind of got the impression that if you actually ask people, sometimes they'll agree to do stuff. Because they really have no idea how big the show is or not. Really. Yeah. But he was on the show. That I think was pretty cool of him to do. The guests that you've mentioned are
Charles just confirmed he was not on the John Barber one. He wrote a lot of the questions.
right. Okay. So Trevor, who is the one person actually watching the show as we do it live, which we thank him for. But and when he's on the show, no one's watching.
Yeah.
So we're doing this for an audience of one. Well, that was really cool to have somebody on who was, who at the time was editor in chief of IDW.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, wow.
And he'd also worked at Marvel.
Yes, I'm
in
not.
the past.
But I mean, at the time, he was
Yeah.
a big guy at a fairly big book,
Yeah.
Publisher. So that was really cool of him to do the show. I've enjoyed having. Most of the people we've had on the show have been really good.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things I've enjoyed about doing the show is that we get to meet other people who are doing the same thing we're doing.
Yeah.
And kind of talk about not just Power Square, but the process of putting together a comic book.
Yeah.
We're either, except for a few, we're either writers or artists. Usually it's writers that we end up talking to.
Yeah.
And we all have to go through the process of, finding somebody to draw it and going through that whole process.
Yeah.
There's some people, again, like Sean, who can do it all.
Yeah.
But there's the rest of us that are kind of, it's a process we'll have to go through. And we're all trying to get, known.
Yeah.
Or found. And one of the things that Gamal gave us was a question I keep asking people, and I think we stumped them a lot of times. Who's your ideal reader?
Yeah. Which, ideal reader, I guess, another way to, alternatively, like, who's your target demo?
Right. Yeah. So I always thought I appreciate the fact we have a question from him.
I believe Strokey actually had a concrete answer.
Yes, he did. But it was like everybody.
Yeah.
and he had a reason for it, because the book supposedly has everything.
Yeah. But for Harley's answer was still like it's still targeting like the like zombie fans.
Yes. I didn't want to get too far into so that's I guess kind of a wrap up. Again, we've had other people on the show on YouTube.
Yeah.
But not necessarily on OAPS. We're trying to make a differentiation, because I know we had Andrew from Art of America on the show on YouTube, but not on the show, that kind of stuff. We're not trying to.
Yeah.
But we just want to talk about who we'd had on the show, and so we're basically open to having other creators on.
Yeah.
We do want to talk about. We do have a team meeting with our creative team once a month.
Yeah.
And we are trying to expand out to have, like, as I say, a book club, where if you've read the book, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
We would love it, really. And so
let's not sound desperate.
But anyway, so that's kind of I hope that we have more guests on.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll have to have Lucas on for his 5th time at some point here.
Is there anyone you'd like to have on?
Oh.
I mean, I have ideas.
You do have ideas. You're stumping me, because I was going to stump you with that question.
You want to think about it?
Well, it would be nice to have somebody on who's I don't know. I think it always seems like the every time we have another creator on, it's interesting to talk to them about what they're going through.
Yeah.
And so I would just like to, I guess, have more creators on.
Yeah.
But you have somebody in mind.
Yeah.
Who would you like to have on the show, Paul?
Yeah, I actually have more than one idea.
Okay.
I think we mentioned before about reaching out to Sarah Richard, not the artist.
Okay.
Not confirming anything, but she was open to
Oh, Sarah Richard. Yeah, I think you said Sir Richard. And I was like, who?
Sarah Richard.
Sarah Richard. Yeah, we actually reached out to her.
Yeah.
And it'll be like
she's open to doing it, but it won't be for like another few months.
Spring.
Yeah. So, but we're not setting that in stone.
No.
One person I would love to have is Critical, aka Penguin Z0, aka Charles / Charlie White.
Okay.
That's his real name.
Okay. He does have a real name. Okay, good.
Yeah. So, like to have Critical because he has his own comic, God Slap. And I've actually been a fan of his for years. I've actually been watching him since the Juicero video.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's actually watching this. He probably most likely is not. He's probably doing his own stream. But I would still like to talk to him about God Slap and maybe some other.
We did actually reach out to him once.
Yeah, we should reach out to him again.
Right. I'm sure he gets a lot of offers to be on shows.
Or if he gets his inbox just gets flooded.
Yeah.
But I'd like to try again. It would also be good. I think it might also be interesting to have someone like Brooks Wachtel.
Okay.
Because he's written for shows like X-Men, the animated series, and I think the 90s Spider-Man cartoon.
All right. Well.
So it'll be interesting to talk to people who have been involved with like adapting comics.
Right. That's good. I like that. Arrange it. Let's have him on next week. Does Trevor have somebody in mind?
I don't know.
Okay.
I guess he was showing me that Critical right now is playing Last of Us Part 1.
Instead of watching our show, it's really hurtful, man. But
Trevor would like to have. Trevor thinks it would be cool to have Stan Sakai,
okay,
the creator of Usagi Yojimbo.
Sure, I'm sure he's dying to be to our show. No, but I have found that if you ask people, they're like, sure, a lot of times.
Yeah.
I mean, I was nervous asking Catherine Calamita to be on the show.
Yeah.
Because I figured she'd just go, what are you? But she was willing to be on the show. Gamal Hennessy, John Barber. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. You know, Mega 64 have had people like Hideo Kojima in sketches because they just asked.
All right. So that is sort of a little secret sauce there. As you ask people, they might actually do it.
Yeah.
Especially if they know you're asking. Critical doesn't know we've asked.
Yeah.
But we should ask him again.
Yeah.
So, all right.
So I think that about covers it for now.
I think so too.
If you're watching us on YouTube later and you like this, leave a like. And if you want to see more, subscribe and ring that bell. And if you have any opinions about anything we've just said, leave a comment.
All right. We'd love to hear from you. So until next time, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins.
And you've been on the air with Power Squared.